Thank you for taking the time to click on this video. I promise you I will throw all my energy into this subject to help you get to grips with it. I have many years of experience and like to keep up to date with research and developments. I am more than happy to answer any questions that you wish to post. All I ask in return is for 1 minute of your time to like and share, or maybe even subscribe, as this makes a huge difference to me to be able to put these videos together. Again, thank you and enjoy. So let's mark this out. We're going to measure on this same bit of trunking, we're going to measure 150. So mark from the back of bend to the back of the next bend. And when this is a flat 90 that we're going to do. So we use our square again and we square all the way around the trunking. We need to know which direction you need to go, so obviously that would depend where you're going to install it. And we're going to turn it to the right, so make sure you identify that direction. So marking a 45 and a 45 from that point is the direction of the bend, and then mark it the opposite way round. Like I say, be accurate. And these are the bits we're going to bring together. On the back, remember, it goes the opposite direction, so I've just put those marks in just to remind myself, because we've just turned it round. So don't mark them round the wrong way and start cutting the wrong direction. And copy exactly what's on the front. To be honest, you should really start from the back, because the back of the trunking doesn't move. When you do it from the front being open can actually bend in and you can end up in the wrong location. So I tend to mark the back and then measure from the back and mark it round. So what we're doing, we're squaring it up on the side we're going to actually close up on. Hopefully all these lines should meet. They do on the back, as you can see, not quite on the front. But it can be, like I say, can be due to that, which can squeeze up, especially if it's, been squashed in transit or someone stood on it or whatever. And then on the top, we're going to just mark out what is going to be removed, which is basically all of it, including that little triangle there, don't forget. And pick a side, doesn't matter which side, whichever you find easiest. And then that part there. And then we're going to leave that, but we're going to cut this little lip out. So I'm going to mark the two edges that we're going to cut down. And obviously along the top as well. So that little bit's going to come out, just that small bit. All of the other side, and obviously that top piece as well. So they're all the bits to remove. Apologies for the slight bit of blood, but there might be a little bit more in a minute. So, got my knee on this. It's actually the trunking's getting shorter and shorter, ideally, so be accurate. And we're going to cut those little bits out, going in the direction of the angle all the time. We only want that small amount taken out, so don't go down too far, because we want to leave that bit intact. And I'm going to cut down at the angle, so I'm going along at the 45 down that mark there. It's actually quite difficult where I've got the camera right above is where I would normally be working, so it's made life quite difficult. And then we're going to cut down here. Again, watch those fingers. Like I say, normally I'd use a hacksaw. It's quite a bit tricky trying to hold it still, as well as trying to make sure I still had it in shot. And cut down that bit to the point, don't cut through, all the way through, cut that edge off. Make sure that comes out and remove that. Now, those little bits there, bend them over. Don't leave them lying around. Very sharp. I'll go straight to your boot. You won't be very happy if it's you or someone else. We'll remove those. And then very carefully what we need to do is we're going to cut down those edges. and be as close as you possibly can. So I'm going to cut down one side. Like I say, I see people, they file them. I don't understand why. It's a waste of time. Cut that bit there. So like I say, I'll do exactly the same with a hacksaw. Just bend the trunking back and then use the hacksaw to cut. In a college where I work, it's easy because we can put them in vices on site. You're on the side of the cable drum or wherever ledge you can happen to find. If you're lucky enough to have a vice, then obviously try and use it. Then we're going to cut down there. And we leave that little flap in. So there's the pieces being removed. So you can see the tiny piece, the big. So they're all the bits we've just removed from all of that. Careful on this, there's sharp edges, as you can see, I've already cut myself. And we'll just speed that up and obviously get the idea, file it, because it's a containment system again. And the whole point is to protect the cable, so let's make sure. And again, run your fingers around. If your blood comes off on your fingers, it means it's too sharp. If it doesn't and it still feels smooth, then it's all okay. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to score it. So I am using a hacksaw in this one. I didn't dare use a grinder just in case. So I'm just putting a score mark on it, and then what that allows that to do is it will bend on that point. And it's not so bad on these long bits, but if you do ones that are shorter, they're more difficult to do. So yes, and then just make sure you've removed all the burrs. You do have some sharp edges in there, and then what we're going to do is bend this into place and bend it round on a 90, cutting on the inside. And we're going to get it up to that point there, making sure it all marries up. So it's not quite there yet, but it will be. And then because I've scored that will actually make it life a lot easier. And as you can see, I've just bent it around my fingers and it bends on that point, and it's closed that bend up. And because you've just tucked that round the corner, which gives a nice smooth edge round the inside of the trunking. The only thing that's really sharp is that corner piece, because we've cut it at 45s. And then we're going to drill it. And again, nut and bolt in place. Just a quick file. And again, using our 8mm spanner, we can tighten these things up. And just make sure we have got a 90 before you just do that final tighten. But you can always adjust it. You've got a little bit of play, depending how big you've made those holes. You can always just manipulate it a little bit, but just check that it is 90. So yeah, you could file those off, like I say, and leave them nice, but when you're pulling cables in, they can be really sharp, those bits. You'll see manufacturers, when they do it, they cut them off. So I'm going to do that in a minute, but warning. Too busy concentrating on the camera. Yes, and that did actually touch my finger, and I did take it away rather rapidly. Apologies for that. Notice I'm keeping my thumb well clear this time, and I'm just going to cut those bits off and file those up. Wipe the blood away. My apologies. And there you have your 90, which you could put a screw hole fix in if you were fixing it to the wall through the back. Sparky help, thank you very much.